Hanana noticed a mild stench from the cup. It wasn't strong unless she put the cup to her nose and waited a few seconds. The eerie feeling that something was amiss gnawed at her, especially since this wasn't the first time she had encountered this strange smell. "I'm glad we had this conversation." Hanana smiled, a warmth spreading through her as she picked up the empty bowl. As she turned to leave, Ramy watched her go, still in awe of the beauty, both inside and out, that he had discovered in her. As time passed, Hanana grew more comfortable with her job and colleagues, eventually taking on tasks like running errands. One afternoon, while grocery shopping for the mansion, she caught a familiar scent. At first she dismissed it, but couldn't shake the feeling she'd encountered it before. Suddenly, it hit her. It was the same scent from the ceramic cup. Without hesitation, she informed the house manager. "Kaka, I'll catch up with you in front." Following the scent, she found herself at a shop selling herbal mixtures. Hanana inquired with the shopkeeper about the scent, asking if it could stain clothes and cause irreparable holes. The shopkeeper explained that it was an herbal mix designed to repel bugs and insects. In other words, poison. When combined with rosemary leaves and cinnamon powder, it became less potent, but could still gradually kill a person. Hanana was so shocked she nearly collapsed. The servant had been poisoning Tariq, but why? That night, when Ramy requested a bottle of whiskey, Hanana almost broke it from being absent-minded. She brought it up to him, her mind racing. "Are you okay, Hanana? You seem quiet tonight," Ramy observed, looking at her with concern. Feigning a headache, Hanana replied, "I'm fine, sir. It's just a bit of a headache. May I retire to bed early?" Unlike any other day, he might not have cared, but tonight, something softened within him as he watched the evening breeze gently ripple through her scarf. He nodded, his gaze still fixed on her. "Of course. Get some rest." Each evening, Hanana would anxiously watch as the servant delivered tea to Tariq. Despite her concerns, Tariq didn't appear sick or frail, as one would expect from someone being poisoned. Her mind raced with thoughts as she observed him closely. Balancing her duties as a servant, keeping an eye on Tariq, and looking after Ramy left her constantly exhausted. One day, while watching Tariq, Ramy saw her and asked, "Why are you spying on my brother instead of me?" Hanana stammered, I wasn't spying, just curious about his new car. It looks sophisticated." Ramy smirked. It's a BMW 2023 7 Series. Happy now? What do you need the name for, though?" he asked, his hand on his chin. "I love fast cars, and BMW is my dream car, so I got a bit excited. I am sorry, sir." "You surprise me every day, Hanana. Come with me. I have a surprise for you." He led her to his room, but she hesitated, insisting on waiting outside. A few minutes later, he returned, handing her a beautifully wrapped package. "I notice you always look at this book whenever you pass by. The library downstairs. It's a bestseller. I thought you might like it," Ramy said. Hanana's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. "Thank you, sir. This means a lot." "Call me Ramy," he replied, blowing out smoke from his nose, a cigarette in hand. "No, sir, I can't," Hanana said, shaking her head. "I insist," Ramy said, his eyes locked on hers. "And I insist, sir. You are my boss. As much as I appreciate the kind gesture, I'm sorry. I can't accept your gift." Ramy frowned, pushing the book back into her hands. "I hate romantic thrillers. What am I supposed to do with a book I find repulsive?" "Repulsive? Ha 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 ha. Sir, this writer is one of the best in the world. Repulsive is not a word you should use to describe this work of art." "Then read it. Tomorrow evening, I expect you to convince me why this writer chose to kill off one of the main characters in the book." "I thought you hated romantic thrillers." "I do. That doesn't mean I haven't read a few of them, especially this one. See you tomorrow." "Tomorrow? Sir, I have a lot of work to do. I don't think I'll have time to finish reading before the end of tomorrow." "That's not my concern. Happy reading, Hanana," Ramy said, laughing, as he walked back into his bedroom. As he shut the door behind him, he smiled to himself. As time passed, Hanana found herself increasingly looking forward to her evenings with Ramy. Each evening, she would take him his usual bowl of fruits and savor the conversations they shared. Ramy, though often aloof and troubled, began to open up to her in ways she hadn't anticipated. One evening, as she handed him the bowl of fruits, she mustered the courage to ask, "Why do you smoke so much, sir?" He chuckled, taking a bite of a juicy peach. "Keeps me sane in this madhouse. My family is complicated. After my mother died, everything changed. My father became distant and Tariq took on too much. I dealt with it in my own way, but I guess that made me the black sheep. Plus I am stressed half the time. I need something to help calm my nerves and relax my mind." Hanana laughed softly. "You should try herbal teas. They can help you relax a lot more than smoking would without side effects." Looking excited, Ramy replied, smiling, "Interesting. I would like to try them. I would have Kaka make you a cup tomorrow," she said, smiling, as she picked up the empty bowl to leave. "I don't want Kaka, I want you," Ramy replied, as he sat up to look at Hanana's face properly. Hanana's heart raced upon hearing those words. She composed herself and asked him, "You want what, sir?" "The herbal tea. I want you to make it for me. If you're not making it, I am not drinking it." Hanana, embarrassed for thinking he wanted something else, cleared her throat, her face sweaty. I can arrange that, but not tonight. I need to ask Keika for permission to use the..." "Hanana, can you make it?" Ramy asked impatiently. "Yes, sir, I can." "Then that's settled. Anyone who asks, tell them it is for Ramy. You have 15 minutes. I will be counting down. Don't try me." As she walked out, Ramy smiled at himself as he lay his back on the hammock. He was starting to get used to having her around him. The next time she saw him, the balcony smelled different. It was a heady, intoxicating scent that made Hanana's cheeks flush. "I love your cologne," she blurted out before she could stop herself. Ramy laughed, a deep, rich sound. "Thank you, Hanana. It's my new perfume, something I picked up recently." She felt her cheeks grow even hotter. "Well, I like it. It's very nice." Ramy leaned back, a playful smile on his face. "I'm a bit of a fraghead, to be honest. Can't wait to visit Dubai again and add more to my collection." He picked a grape and said, smiling, "Is it just me, or is the air different today? Hanana, I can't quite place my hand on why that is." "I think it's because you're not smoking as usual, And I'm not almost choking to death." They laughed and talked a little longer, and as they did, Ramy offered her a fruit from the bowl. "Here, have some." She shook her head. "No, thank you." He grinned mischievously. "I insist. If you don't, I'll have to report you." Before he could finish, she interrupted, mimicking his tone. "Report me to whom, exactly?" They both burst out laughing. "You're starting to sound like a broken record," she teased. "Ouch! That hurts," he said, clutching his heart dramatically. They laughed again, and she finally took 2 grapes, thanking him. "You know, Hanana," Ramy said, his tone more serious now, "you're a very smart girl with so much potential. It frustrates me that you're wasting 20 years of your life for a useless family like mine." Hanana's smile faded a bit. "Don't talk about your family that way. They can't be all bad." He shrugged, looking away. "You don't know them like I do. I hear your dad is sick. I am sorry about that," she said softly. Before Ramy could respond, the door burst open and Tariq stormed in. "What are you doing here, Hanana? Get out!" She quickly gathered the empty fruit bowl and left the room, but not before casting a worried glance back at Ramy. As she closed the door behind her, she could hear the argument escalating. "What are you doing with the help, Ramy?" Tariq's voice was harsh, filled with disdain. "Since when do you care about my life? Get out of my room and knock next time," Ramy shot back. Their voices grew louder. Hanana listened from outside, her heart aching for Ramy. She wished she could do something to ease his pain. As months passed, Hanana continued her duties, but her mind often wandered to her conversations with Ramy. She began to notice little things about him. His humor, his kindness, the way his eyes sparkled when he talked about things he loved. And though she tried to push the feelings away, she found herself looking forward to their time together more and more. One evening, as she was about to leave after delivering his fruits, Ramy stopped her. "Hanana, wait!" She turned, surprised. "Yes?" He handed her a small wrapped package. "I saw this perfume and thought you might like it, seeing that you loved mine the last time." She took the package, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you." A few days later, the house manager saw the gift under Hanana's pillow. "What's that, Hanana? Did you steal it from one of the rooms?" Hanana's eyes widened in shock. "No, I didn't. It was a gift." But no one seemed to believe her until Ramy, who had been out partying all night, came to her defense. "I gave it to her," he said, his voice shaky from his obvious hangover. Everyone was stunned, including Tariq, who had joined the crowd. They reluctantly let Hanana go, but as she walked away, she overheard Tariq pulling Ramy aside. "The servant again, Ramy," Tariq hissed. "That's none of your business," Ramy retorted. "It is when you're making a fool of yourself," Tariq snapped. "And you haven't even visited Baba yet. He's been asking to see you for a while now. What's wrong with you?" "What's wrong with me?" Ramy shot back. "What's wrong with you, Tariq? All you care about is yourself. You only seem to care about me when it benefits you. The only time you visit my room is when you need me to make a public appearance for the press or social media." The argument dragged on, but Hanana didn't linger to hear the details. She had work to do. All she could think about was that Ramy had stood up for her. butterflies fluttered incessantly in her stomach as she chopped onions for Kaka in the kitchen and finished her chores for the day. One day, during a staff meeting, everyone working as a servant was asked to write out items in their jurisdiction that needed to be replaced. The cooks also created a new timetable to make changes to Mr. Al-Karim's meals, as he had been sick in bed. The male servant, whom she had been closely watching, put his hand up and said, "We need to restock on Baba's tea." Hassana was confused and corrected him immediately. "You mean Tariq's tea?" He responded harshly, "It's Baba's tea, not Tariq's." After the meeting, she asked him why he said it was Mr. Al-Karim's tea. He almost screamed at her to leave him alone and said at the end, "The tea is Mr. Al-Karim's. I only take the tea to Tariq on his request so he can serve his father himself." "So, you make the tea yourself and hand it over to Tariq, who then serves it to his father afterward?" "I just said that," Ismail the servant blurted out, attempting to walk away. Wait. Please, one last question. Hassana, what is it? You are such a pest. I just want to know if the tea smells weird." "What do you mean, weird? It's just regular tea. Come, Hassana. Why are you even asking me all these questions?" Hassana had to think of an excuse on the spot.